You're listening to Nick Luck Daily. This edition is brought to you by Timeform, your trusted source for racing data and analysis. By Total Performance Data, the global leader in live horse racing data. This edition is also brought to you by FaceTimes, laying some of the world's largest sporting wagers since 1882.
Good morning, welcome to the show. It is Friday the 31st of July, the fourth day of this Qatar Goodwood Festival. A gentle breeze, well, a little more than a gentle breeze, blowing across the downs this morning, but a broadly cloudless sky, another lovely day, wonderful day to be at the sports. David Yates alongside me. Again, thank you very much for accompanying me.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Fine and bright and
My
early
pleasure.
this morning.
Yes, good. It's been a bit cooler today. We've had all three of our Group 1s, haven't we? And today we say farewell to Asfoora, who has illuminated the European sprint scene over the last couple of seasons, which is sad. But yeah, yesterday was another really exciting afternoon, wasn't it? Plenty of O'Brien around the place.
Aidan and Joseph.
Yeah, indeed. Man's best friend, diamond necklace. Yes, I have got that right. Was flawless, I thought, in the
Nassau.
In the Nassau. And
Enceladus in the Gordon for Joseph.
yeah, what did you think of Enceladus? I mean,
I like both. I like both the front two. I didn't think it was the deepest of Gordon stakes. I thought the front two horses were very good. Enceladus up for the St Leger, I think, and I like the second horse, Gerrio. I think he's going to be a very nice horse.
would you be sort of inclined to roll the dice a bit higher at 1.5 miles rather than go up to an extended 1.6 miles? That was my instinct watching it, because I knew that the St Leger quotes were going to come as soon as he'd crossed the line.
It depends what you're thinking of this year. I mean,
Yeah,
I think
well,
you could certainly have a look at a 1.5 mile campaign next year. He's got a lovely pedigree and he's not a horse short of class, but I think you kind of have to run him in the Leger this time.
Yeah, fair point. Yeah,
I'm not sure. I think he's good enough to win an Arc this year.
No.
So. Yeah, but I see your point.
Yeah, no, that's in the short to medium term, that's absolutely right. But certainly, he just didn't. Often, the Gordon is seen is won by a horse that you think, right, he'll go for the Leger, and we probably won't see him at 1.5 miles again. But with Enceladus, I thought the way that he took a bit of rousting, didn't he? But when he burst to the front, that was, it was game over, wasn't it?
Let's concentrate a bit more on Diamond Necklace, because she extended her unbeaten record yesterday.
Yeah.
And so we're going to end Goodwood with the two marquee Group 1 races being won by 3-year-olds who remain undefeated. That's quite extraordinary, Bow Echo and Diamond Necklace.
Yes, it is.
With a bunch of classics to their names as well.
Yeah. First time we've seen her in Britain, wasn't it? She's been winning Marcel Boussac's, Prix de Diane's, Pouliche in France. Am I being unfair if I suggest it's not a particularly deep well?
No.
I don't think so at all.
But I think she's a particularly good horse.
Yeah, it was interesting, that race, wasn't it? Because on quicker ground in the Diane, she had been nothing like as impressive as she had been in the Pouliche.
Did they not say she was in season in the Diane? And that's why...
Okay, I
think I've got it in the back of my mind.
Okay.
I'm looking at our production team for assistance here.
It was Carl Burke.
Okay. Carl Burke apparently said she was.
What's it got to do with Carl Burke?
I don't know, but I'll take Carl Burke's word
Okay,
for it.
fair enough. I completely missed that, so Carl Burke or no.
If I've got that wrong, then my apologies.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it might be the quicker ground at Chantilly, and so that was a potential sticking point yesterday. But I always think, Ryan Moore isn't one of those jockeys whose body language is particularly showy. I suppose like tall jockeys like Lester Piggott, Richard Hughes, when they were going markedly easily, it really stood out, didn't it? And I don't think Ryan Moore is one of those. Obviously, he's not a particularly tall man anyway, but as he followed Friendly Soul through, the body language was about as demonstrative, I thought, as Ryan Moore gets. And, if you'd taken the 4 to 6 at that point, you thought, well, we're okay here. See the fire? Andrew Balding said going into yesterday's race that he wanted her to show that she's still got the enthusiasm
I think
for it.
the fire is not in her belly
No,
particularly.
I think that's right. He said after Ascot, nothing came to light. It was a disappointing run. We need her to show on Thursday that she still wants to do that, and I'm not sure she did that yesterday.
Yeah. What about Diamond Necklace as a candidate for the Arc? So at the moment, they've got the option of going to the Matron Stakes back in distance to a mile, or going up for the Prix Vermeil to see whether she's an Arc filly. Of course, I suspect they think Constitution River is the horse that's going to win the Arc, so maybe that might temper their enthusiasm. I'd like to see her in the Vermeil, just to see. What about you?
Yeah, I think, I'd really like to see it, because I think her presence in the sort of autumn mile-and-a-half Group 1s, i.e. the Arc, would be really interesting. You know, up until yesterday, she'd done it against her own age group. Now she's done it against all ages and all genders. And
genders.
Both genders,
Yeah.
So that would be interesting. My instinct is that I think it's probably unlikely, for all that, as Aidan O'Brien quite rightly said, we're not scared of running them against each other. They've got no choice, really, these days, have they? So it'd be interesting. I'll sort of believe it when I see it, really. But it would certainly be her presence at Longchamp on October the 4th would be another facet to what's always a really compelling race.
Shall we find out what Timeform think of Diamond Necklace?
Let's do exactly that.
Let's do that right now.
So here we are on day 4 of Glorious Goodwood. The place to start really will be looking back on yesterday's Nassau. Diamond Necklace beating Friendly Soul. We've got Diamond Necklace improving £1 to 123p. Where does that put her in terms of the 3-year-olds middle distance performers? Well, Constitution River still out on his own on 128. Benvenuto Cellini's 124. And Items 123p as well. So Diamond Necklace definitely the best 3-year-old middle distance filly around in our view, just ahead of Thundering On, who's 122. She's good enough to beat the boys. When you take into account she'll get a sex allowance were she to take them on as well. And surely all roads lead to something like a Vermeil and an Arc trial. I know Michael Tibor said he'd rather win it with a colt, and that's understandable, but when you look at her pedigree, she's a half-sister to Magic One, she's a half-sister to the very talented but quirky Chiquita, and she's even related to Enemy, who stays 2 miles and the rest. He's a solid handicapper for Ian Williams. So, the Arc looks the race for her, really, in our view, and hopefully some bold campaigning towards the end of this season. And who knows, they could even run both of them in the Arc, potentially. But, and Friendly Soul even ran a career best yesterday, so looks pretty strong running of the Nassau, even though it was a small field. And looking ahead to today, wide open King George. There's about 4 or 5 of these split with only £2 in the Timeform ratings. There's pace high with the very speedy Night Raider, though he proved in the Temple he doesn't have to lead. There's pace low with Giacajaro. It's going to be thrilling watching what's a really open division. It might be whose turn is it today, but it would be nice if something like a Night Raider could stamp his authority on the division. Looking ahead to the Nunthorpe next month. Back for more tomorrow with probably a look ahead to the Stewards' Cup.
Kieran Clark from Timeform there on the performance of Diamond Necklace in yesterday's Group 1 Nassau Stakes. Welcome back to a slightly blustery but very pleasant morning here at Goodwood. I genuinely don't think I've ever been in this spot before, David. We're high up in the Gordon enclosure, aren't we here?
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
It's I've never been in here before. It's very nice, though.
Don't see many.
I might come back.
Don't see many cravats in here.
I wouldn't bet on that. I bet you see a few these days.
What is that cravat, by the way?
It's a Trinity College.
Is it?
Cravat, yeah.
Lovely.
I made it myself.
Did you?
From a tie, yes.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Good. Right, today's big race. Why are you looking at me like that?
No reason.
Okay, today's big race is the King George Stakes. It is the sprint, of course, over 5 furlongs. And as you said at the beginning of the programme, we bid farewell to a mare from Australia who's really lit up the sprinting scene here over the last few years, Asfoora.
Yeah, she has. The Royal Ascot win in the King Charles III, the Nunthorpe, of course, at York. My favourite was the Prix de l'Abbé, because it involved a dash to get her passport, didn't it?
It did. And I'm just going to stop you right there, because one of her key rivals is Spicy Marg, whose owner, Emma Banks, is calling me right now.
The drama.
I know, the drama. Emma, good morning.
Good morning.
We're recording the podcast live here at Goodwood, so delighted to have you with us. How have you been? How's the week been for you?
Well, I got here yesterday. Unfortunately, the week has been full of work. No, fortunately, it's been full of work. So today's going to be my first day actually on the racecourse. But I've been watching it from the office, and wow, have there been some fantastic races, hey?
Superb. So you weren't here for Bo Echo on Wednesday. What did you make of it all?
I mean, he's just quality, isn't he? You look, and Billy's confidence to sort of be, tootling along near the back and then push that turbo button, and boy, does he have a turbo button. I thought it was spectacular.
And it does seem that they're getting a genuine fan club, genuine warmth to this horse and the people behind it. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Because it's young people. It's a young horse with a young jockey and a relatively young trainer. And I don't know, I think it's wonderful when George has this complete confidence in that horse. There's no messing around. And he is just a cut above. It's not lucky, is it, when he wins? It is just incredible talent. And, I know he's been likened, and more now to other incredible world-beating horses. But it does seem that is probably a worthy comparison for Bo Echo now.
And Emma, you're obviously in the entertainment industry. How do you think Goodwood does in terms of entertaining its public?
I think it does fantastically well. It obviously helps when this year you have, what you would say is really glorious weather for glorious Goodwood. I think maybe yesterday, from talking to a couple of people, was it yesterday? Got very hot.
Wednesday was really hot, yeah.
Wednesday. It's way easier to have a fun time at the races when it's like that than when it's absolutely pouring down, because that can become quite grim. But I think Goodwood, when you're there, it's beautiful. All the facilities are fabulous. The view of the Downs is wonderful. There's great racing. And you've got all those bars and the little outlets and places to sit, which, I don't know, there's not many places that are as good as Goodwood.
Well put. It's a big day for you today with Spicy Marg running in the King George. She ran a truly wonderful race at Ascot. It didn't happen for her last time. How do you feel going into today?
Do you know what? I kept saying yesterday, it's so great. No one's talking about Spicy Marg today. It's much easier to enjoy it. And then you rang me up. Thanks.
Sorry, Emma.
So, although at 6 o'clock this morning, a friend of mine texted me the Price-Wise piece in the Racing Post. So she hasn't gone completely under the radar. I feel really good about it. As I say to most people, racing makes you a very, very good loser. And I'm a good loser. So whatever happens, I'm going to have a wonderful day. She's a horse that really does put everything in. She hasn't had, touch wood, she doesn't have a day where she can't be bothered. Sometimes it just doesn't work out for her. But obviously, she won here last year, so she's a course and distance winner. That run she put in at Ascot, well, I think people could hear me at Epsom, the screeching I was doing as I was cheering her on. And yeah, you're right, your didn't happen. And whether she just doesn't love that racetrack, or it was too soon after Ascot, or whatever, she was having a bad day, I don't know. But I'm excited. I think, Tom Marquand, who's riding her, has a lot of confidence in her. When he got on at Ascot, he was confident about it. When he got off her after the Guineas, said she's a 5 or 6 furlong horse. So he's getting her over 5 furlongs. And who doesn't want to run at Goodwood? It's strong competition today, that is for sure. There's a heck of a lot of very good horses.
I really appreciated you taking my call early this morning, because it was the Goodwood Ball last night, and you're quite heavily involved in that. One of your artists, Becky Hill, was playing. Did she have a good time?
Yeah, she did. She did. She very definitely enjoyed it. Unfortunately, as all these things, work out, she hasn't been able to come for a day of the racing this year because I'm working her too hard, apparently. But I'm hoping that maybe next year, if I'm not working her quite so hard and she's got a little bit of time, she could come for the racing, because I think that's what puts all of it in context and makes it so special. But she's a great supporter of women, and I think the ball is obviously in aid of charities that are there to help women, and education overall. I think the charity is this year, an absolutely incredible thing to do. So she was very happy to do it. The crowd seemed to have a good time, and even the most curmudgeonly of trainers seemed to be dancing away to some of her hits, which was great.
I've no idea who you could be talking about. Emma, thank you very much. I'm sorry to ring so early, but I'll see you later, and good luck with Spicy Marg.
Thanks, Nick.
Cheers, Emma. Take care.
Bye-bye.
That's Emma Banks. Always good.
Always good value. Can I have my say on Bo Echo and
Can I pause you for 1 second?
Of course.
Just because when Emma rang, we were talking about farewell to Asfoora and the opposition to her today. So why don't we just put a bow on that,
course.
and then we'll come back to
Bo
Echo.
Yeah. Nicely done. Night Raiders got to bounce back from Royal Ascot, where there probably were excuses. I put in Rumstar, which we might talk about Nana's shadow before we close, and the magnificent job that Katie Scott has done with her, and obviously a filly who's really well suited by rolling downhill, as she did yesterday, and of course when she won the 3-year-old dash at Epsom on the Oaks undercard. Now, Rumstar's 4 Group 3 wins have been at the Rowley Mile, last 5 furlongs thereof, and Sandown, which of course are stiffish tracks. And I'm not sure that the track is going to suit Rumstar. I really hope they go
pace.
They go quick, and I think they might do today as well.
Okay. And just a last word on the farewell to Asfoora.
Oh yeah, of course. My favourite was the dash to get the passport in France. They couldn't run, so they had to get an Uber for an hour to. Was it to Chantilly, and then an Uber, the same Uber back? Henri Dwyer said he'd given the driver a tip, and they, I think that there is always, when sprinters come from further afield, particularly from Australia, to beat the home patch, to beat our horses. There's, to use Emma's word, curmudgeonly. There are lots of people who at home in Australia say, well, she's not the best of our lot, and in Britain say, well, our sprinters aren't very good. But let's just look at the broader picture with Asfoora. She's, as you say, really illuminated.
Hey, look who I've got.
She's really illuminated this sprint scene.
It's Henri Dwyer.
As if by magic.
Look at that, as if by magic. I knew you'd pick up. I knew you'd pick up for me. How are you doing?
Going well, Nick. How are you?
I'm great. We were in the middle of a paean of praise to a mare that's kind of lit up the European sprinting scene over the last few seasons. And when Dave was listing off all her achievements and talking about the passport rush at the Abbey and all the rest of it, I thought it is actually incredible what she's won. All the big marquee 5 furlong races. How proud are you today as she draws it all to a close?
Incredibly proud. It just, as you said, you don't really look back on it. You've sort of been involved in it, and it's year on year, and you're in the throes of it. But if you do back and look at that, like 3 Group 1s in probably the 3 biggest sprints over there, it's a pretty big achievement by her, and mainly the owners for funding the whole operation, really.
Tell me a little bit more about how they all came together and how they came to you in the first place.
So it's basically Akram El Fakri. So he's got a little farm up at Euroa where they might have 20 mares. They breed those mares to some local stallions, nothing of any real note. And they've stumbled across online. They bought the dam of this filly online for $4,000 off the track. They put her in foal to Flying Artie, who was a first season stallion that cost service fee of 30,000 Aussie. She went to the Adelaide sales, did not get a bid. they offered me the choice of two fillies that were both passed in, a filly by unencumbered and a filly by Flying Artie, and I chose the other one. And then he insisted that I train this one anyway. So there's a lot of fate involved. I'd been to school with Akram's boys, Iaf and Joseph, and I sort of knew him vaguely, but not really. And he's called me out of the blue and offered for me to train a horse. And the rest is history. She always showed a bit, but never showed that she was going to be a Group 1 horse. She just kept on improving as they do. We didn't do too much with her early because there was no rush with her, and she was quite average-legged, I'd say. So, she just kept improving, and she just had a great brain about her, and it's just been a hell of a ride, as I said.
Yeah, hell of a ride. You've really embraced it as well and enjoyed every minute of it, brought a lot of people with you, immersed yourself in the British racing culture along the way. How much has she actually changed your life?
I reckon I've had 8 or 9 trips a year over here for the last 3 seasons, over and back. So it's not just a hop, skip and a jump. It's obviously a 24-hour trip each way. And I'm trying to train about 100 horses at home as well. So there's a bit of logistical challenge that goes into it. But you're not going to give up the opportunity of doing it for anything, really. It's as a racing person and as a fan of horse racing, the ability to prepare a horse at Newmarket, not just go to these race courses and win these races we're winning, but the opportunity to train a horse, or now a few horses at Newmarket, is just amazing. It certainly has changed my life. There's no doubt about that.
And for her today, could she do it? Could she produce a fairy tale finish, do you think?
I think there's absolutely no reason why she can't. We've been really happy with how she's going, all preparation, and we knew the first 2 runs she wasn't ready, she didn't have blinkers on, she needed them to get to Ascot. I reckon when we really needed her to run well, she ran really well at Ascot. She was only beaten a length and a half. She loomed up like the winner, probably just ran out of fitness a little bit late, which was probably trainer error from not doing enough in those first 2 runs. And then we went to Sandown with a full head of steam, thinking, well, we just can't see her being beaten today, and she ran inexplicably poorly. So horses can do that. There's one bad run this preparation that we don't have a reason for, which was last time, but going off the fact that she ran so well at Ascot, we know she's still capable of doing it, and there'd be no reason she can't do that again. So if she repeats the Ascot run, let alone the stuff from the last year or 2, but if she repeats the Ascot run, I think she's very hard to beat today.
Henri, she's been an absolute superstar for us, rooting for you this afternoon. Thanks so much, and thanks for taking the call.
Terrific, thanks Nick, see you out there.
Henri Dwyer, trainer of Asfoora, what fun she's been, and what an experience she's given him. You know, if it weren't for people like Henri Dwyer and Emma Banks, and you, of course, I wouldn't be able to do this podcast, because there are some people who will pick up every time.
Henri Dwyer's been amazing. I remember ringing him as he was going under the English Channel prior to Longchamp, and it was a bad signal, and he said, I'll ring you when I get to the other side, which he duly did. And I said, my God, I wish they were all like you in this country. You know, I mean, talk about being accessible. He's been absolutely brilliant. And he did say a couple of days ago that if she were to win or to be an unlucky loser, that they might look at the Nunthorpe and put back the quarantine by a month, because commercially it would be worth doing that. So maybe we might just have one more roll of the dice, but let's see what happens today. She's, as I say, there's always this sort of, I think, a po-facedness from people who are like, it's form analyst's job to put things in context, and while the red tops are screaming rah rah, this is amazing, for them to say, well, actually the third holds down the form there, rather. And I've been on both sides of that fence, having begun my working life at Timeform. But in the case of Asfoora, people can point to the fact that she's not beating sprinters in Australia. They can point to the fact that the sprinting pool here isn't particularly deep, but she's made a massive contribution to the past couple of summers in this country.
Impact value very high.
Absolutely.
And we're very grateful to have had her. You make a point about context, And yesterday, I and a number of others were asked by Stuart Riley from the Racing Post to compare Bo Echo to Frankel.
Okay.
Coming back to your Bo Echo point.
Right.
Now, of course, it's an invidious question because no horse will ever be anywhere near as good as Frankel, so leave that aside. I said I thought Bo Echo had been the equal of any horse, and I meant trained in Britain, which I should have qualified with, trained in Britain or Ireland for the last 15 years, decade and a half, at which point there were a ton of replies saying, have you forgotten about See the Stars? I don't want to tell you, but See the Stars was over a decade and a half ago, which is exactly why I said it. Baid was the other one that people were chucking at me, but to me, if you start your season in the middle of your 3-year-old career, then I think that knocks a couple of points off myself compared to a horse who's had a reasonably full 2-year-old career and has won a Guineas at St James's Palace and a Sussex and has remained unbeaten in doing so.
Yeah, I just don't, I'm not trying to knock the Racing Post, but I just don't get this story. Like, it is a fact that he's the first horse to do the Guineas, St James's Palace Stakes Sussex Stakes treble since Frankel.
Yeah.
But in terms of his overall merit and his achievements thus far, it's a ridiculous comparison. I'm sure that George Bowie is
comparison with Frankel's ridiculous.
I'm sure that George Bowie is embarrassed by that, frankly, and I just think it's let's do it in a year's time, But it's a daft comparison. And the other thing as well that I wanted to say, like, George Bowie has great enthusiasm for that horse. He has an easy charm as well when he's being interviewed. He's not one of those trainers who uses the old one is never confident, one is always hopeful line that we've been, that's been trotted out for the last 50 years to the racing media. He tells you, the data's really encouraging, and I
think he'll win. Yeah,
the way that he's upbeat about that, punters like that, and he's a relatively new face at the top table, although one suspects he's going to be there for quite a lot. He'll be an old face there, I'm sure, in a couple of decades' time, or a middle-aged face in a couple of decades' time. But that is a huge contributory factor to the story. And of course, Billy, I was pronounced. You upbraided me the other day. Was it? Did I say Lochnan?
Well, you were saying
Loughnane.
You were saying Loughnane.
Okay,
Loughnane. Loughnane is fine.
Okay, Loughnane. Then again, he's the way that he's a breezy persona. George Bowie was saying we were really nervous in the paddock before this race on Wednesday. He breezes in as if he hasn't got a care in the world, and that is infectious. And just another thing about these bloody comparisons, it's like when I was a kid trying to find the next Ian Botham. There won't be another Ian Botham numbnuts, and it's the same with Dettori, Billy Loughnane. And I mean, I know this was a quote from was it from Johnny Murter in the trade paper yesterday about Billy Loughnane is racing's Lamine Yamal. Better hope not if they read the same stories that I read in the upshot in the upshot emails. But there we go. I think we'll leave that one there.
All right. Well, Dave, I wanted to check in for our final guest today with Henri Bozo, who bred yesterday's heroine, Diamond Necklace. We've spoken to Henri a few times on the podcast before, out of that brilliant mare, Prudenzia, the gift that keeps on giving. Hello, Henri. Good morning.
Good morning.
Lovely to see you, and thanks so much for joining us. I gather you came to Goodwood yesterday. I'm sorry I didn't see you.
Yeah, it was my first trip in Goodwood. I came with my two sons and a breeder fellow, and we did the trip in the day, and I don't regret it.
And you'd never been before. What did you think of it?
I was really very impressed. I love the site. I love the fact that the English are very good to design the race course on the natural hills. And the environment, and I think it's great that you've got so many differences between race courses in England. I think it requires skills and great.
And this filly, I know that the mare Prudenzia has done such great things, and she's produced this, whole panoply of brilliant animals. But surely this one is the best, isn't she, Diamond Necklace?
Yeah, I think so. Because to be unbeaten in 6 starts for Group 1 wins, and she can win over Mile and maybe over 2004. So I mean, yeah, I think she's the best so far.
So far, because there's more to come, isn't there?
Well, there is a 2-year-old by Night of Thunders that's with Kevin Philippard, and that could be good too. And there is a yearling, and the mare is back in for to Delacroix, and she's in great condition. The mare, she's 20, and she's really thriving.
Which is wonderful news. When you know the pedigree so well, and you know the characteristics of these horses so well, what do you think should be the way forward for Diamond Necklace? What would you do if you were still campaigning her?
I would keep over favorite distance this year. I will go for the 2,000 meters races, maybe go to Breeders' Cup, and maybe next year target the Arc de Triomphe. Once, maybe, because with the fillies that I remember my father and the Moussac family bred Lutte Enchantée was a champion miler. It's a long time ago. And in the autumn, the filly suddenly started to improve, and she won the Moulin de Longchamp of a mile, and took the risk of trying her in the Arc, and she finished amazingly strong to be third with a race. So with the fillies that's coming stronger and stronger at the time of the year, you don't know where she can end up, So I'd be keen to try the Arc one day with her.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Henri, thanks so much for chatting to us this morning. Really appreciate it. Glad you enjoyed your day at Goodwood.
Thank you, Nick.
Thanks so much. Henri Bozo, the breeder of Diamond Necklace. We've still got loads more to come. She's already had however many Group 1 winners.
Yeah, we've got much to look forward to, haven't we, by the sound of things?
We have.
Goodness.
And we've got lots to look forward to today as well. Are you going to sign me off with a winner or two? Oh, before you go, there's a little bit of news dropped yesterday from jump racing from the Jockey Club. Did you pick that up?
No.
It's not seismic. But I'll put it here for the record, otherwise I'll forget to do it. The big race over the Grand National fences that take place in the autumn, if you remember, they used to take place on the same day, the Sefton and the Beecher, and then they split them.
That's correct.
Right,
yeah.
They're going back to the same day again.
Oh, are they?
So the Sefton and the Beecher will go back to Beecher Chase Day. But there's also another adjustment. The Elite Hurdle, currently run at Wincanton.
Oh, yeah. That's not moving, is it?
It's moving to Aintree.
Oh, dear.
It's moving to Aintree. The reason being is that they are finding the preparation of ground at Wincanton at that time of year may be contributory to a very small field, and they want to try and increase the field size of the race, hence why it's moving up there. But still, that they will have the Badger Beer and the Rising Stars.
Oh, well, that's okay.
That's the thinking.
Yeah.
And the national thing. The reason they were split apart was to make a bigger day of the Sefton Day, but it still ends up being kind of like the third most important part of the day, so it's not really getting there. And it costs a lot of money to prepare the national fences for a given day.
Yeah.
So it's not actually giving back the cost of what it's. You see what I mean?
Yeah. I follow you every step of the way. Yeah.
A little bit of jumping arcana for you.
Yes. Well, very welcome.
All right. Tips for today.
Winners.
Yeah.
Goodly winners. Yes. Rumstar, hopefully, in the King George Qatar Stakes.
Johnny Portman's not a difficult bloke to cheer for, is he? Not
at all. No. I'm a big fan of Jonathan Portman. I like to see him win. Tribal Chief in the Coral Golden Mile, 3:00.
David Menvizier.
Yeah, I mean, he's just sort of. He's threatening to pick up one of these big ones. He was 6th in this race last year. Then he won over course and distance. He's going to need them to go pretty quick, and Spencer's going to need the gaps. But it should happen one day.
That will really please podcast superfan Mike Jones from Pulborough, who was an encyclopedia on all matters Sussex racing. So you'd appreciate that, particularly the history of Coomlands, the career of Guy Harwood, that he was going through in quite some detail with me the other day. He's been very hospitable. He sets himself up not far from our Pres position down there.
Lewis Racecourse. Well, I met my wife for the first time.
Absolutely, of course you did.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, defiantly. In the first for Joseph O'Brien after that near miss in the Ascot Stakes.
In the colours of Australian Thoroughbreds.
Indeed.
Which kind of takes us right back to where we started the podcast.
Quite.
There we are. We don't just throw this thing together.
We do not.
Thank you so much for your company again.
Thank you.
And your company as well. Now our today's producer, Miss Charlotte Greenway, is making gestures at me to... Oh, we've got to drink wine, haven't we? We've got to drink wine. Where is he, Neil Phillips? We're heading down there now. Apparently, we're going to sign the show off with a glass of wine.
Okay, it's a bit early for me, but
9:08.
Okay.
Oh my word. Right, okay, hold that thought. And as if by magic, suddenly here we are then, down overlooking the paddock with Neil Phillips, making his first appearance of the week. Neil, thank you very much. We're going to race through this. Bolney is the English sparkling wine that are powering the Goodwood patrons this week.
Yeah, so Bolney Estate in Sussex, quite away from you actually, Dave, West Sussex.
yeah, we don't talk to West Sussex in East Sussex, I'm afraid. What's the one near me called?
Well, you've got loads. You got Ridgeview.
Ridgeview, that's
you got Ridgeview near you.
Good old
haven't you?
Ridgeview,
Yeah, so Bolney's interesting. One of the first producers ever discovered. Started in 1972. Family Bizzo. Then they sold 3 or 4 years ago. And interesting enough, the first wines I discovered then were actually still wines.
Really?
Rather than sparkling. So that was how I got to know them, their Chardonnay and their Pinot Gris. And here, they've been making good sparkling for years and years. So what we've got here is their classic cuvee, which we've got in the left-hand glass, guys. So we're going to have a little taste and
So
go.
the classic cuvee is the traditional champagne blend.
Yeah, it is. But interesting here, because they've actually got 70% Chardonnay in this, which is quite high for an English sparkler. And then they've got Pinot Noir, which we know all about, and Meunier.
Why isn't it a red wine then if it's a Pinot Noir, Neil? Tell me that.
What they're going to do there, Dave, within inside the dark skinned grape of Pinot Noir, you've got white juice, so you can separate the skins.
And is it a shallow press, is it?
You do that. And then when you want to get your rosé colour, you're just going to press a little bit on the skins and draw off that colour.
See, normally I would have thought that the classic cuvee would be a slightly darker colour than the Blanc de Blanc.
No, it's
not.
No. This is about getting that freshness, Nick. I think the base of this is about 5-6 years old, and they've got a bit of lees aging there, but it's got really good freshness to it.
That's absolutely bang on, that isn't it?
Yeah,
as Jancis Robinson once said.
That's a great line, Dave. But it's true. I mean, it is bang on. Because I think
Ginny Goulden might have said that.
it is bang
So
on.
I'm told.
Great for Goodwood, this style. Do you like it, Nick?
Love it, yeah.
That's the classic cuvee, and this is the Blanc de Blanc.
This is the Blanc de Blanc, so that's 100% Chardonnay.
Yeah, 100% Chardonnay, 2022, so it would have had some lees age in contact with the dead yeast. So what you're doing there is getting Dave, in that way, you're getting a bit more texture, a bit more weight, a bit more intensity.
Yeah.
And I love this. There's more to come with this wine, actually. There's really more to come.
Yeah, that's breakfast wine, isn't it?
Yeah, perfect breakfast wine, Nick.
That's a bit more.
Every day.
More. Is that a bit more complex than the?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, because you're just kind of he's rolling now. I agree. It is more complex.
I remember the Ditching Wine Society. I'm not a complete.
I know you are.
Philistine.
Yeah, I know you are. And it's just, but I think it is more complex. Certainly good with food as well. But the Blanc de Blanc's been selling really well here. It's actually been really popular. And I ought to mention as well, and I'd love to have opened one of these actually, the Magnum of Classic Cuvée. This.
Come on, Neil. Crack on, man.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. But we've only got about 2 left, I think. But 2016. So anybody coming along, a group of people here actually buying a mag of Classic Cuvée from 2016, they're going to have a great time.
If Tribal Chief does the Bizzo in the Coral Golden Mile, Neil.
Here we go. Let's go.
Let the
games begin.
Yeah, definitely.
The corks pop.
We're running out of gas, I think, and we need to get this podcast out to everybody who's clamouring for it. So thank you very much.
No, come on, guys. Thank you.
We will see you again tomorrow, Saturday, on YouTube as well. Don't forget, and we are going to enjoy another lovely day in the sunshine. Cheers. That's it for now.
Cheers, everyone.
You've been listening to Nick Luck Daily. Thanks for listening. This edition has been brought to you by Timeform, your trusted source for racing data and analysis, by Total Performance Data, the global leader in live horse racing data, and by FitzDares, laying some of the world's largest sporting wagers since 1882.